Hello, Richard. If Polly Nichols was indeed the first victim of Jack, why would it be a lot further away than his other killings? And to follow up on that, isn't it that the first murder is where someone feels the most comfortable? Thank you.
I think the second part about the first murder where someone feels most comfortable, that a lot of that is to do with profiling and geo-profiling, and I'm not 100% fan of those things, particularly of geo-profiling. Um, it was devised in the States for murders over a large area, and we're here talking about an area which is about a mile square in Whitechapel. I don't think it really works as well. There are various models as well. It depends on what you put in. But I actually don't believe that was 2 points. Bucks Row really isn't that far up, isn't really that far away from the other murder sites. They're all within a 10-minute walk of each other. I mean, it's relatively further than the other murders are, but they're all fairly close to each other in reality. And of course, I'm not sure there's that many people who accept that Polly is the first attack. I think most people think there must have been other attacks beforehand. And I'm not even sure that most people believe that she's the first murder. I think most people think there may well have been previous murders.
Of course, Martha Tabram.
Martha's a good one, but we got other attacks beforehand. We got Wilson, Millhouse, there's Smith. There are loads of other attacks which could be linked. So I think it's highly unlikely that Polly was his first attack, and I think it's highly unlikely that she's his first murder.
And of course, to return to that, Bucksrow geographically isn't that far away from the other murders. I think one of the problems is that it can seem so, but because you have that little concentration around Commercial Street. But I mean, Bucks Row, you walk to the top of, well, now Durwood Street, you walk to the top, turn right, turn left, you're on Hanbury Street, and then just 5 minutes along Hanbury Street, you're at the murder site of Annie Chapman.
I think the reason people get that impression, along with Berners Street, is because most of the tours don't actually go there, and people get told because it's too far. It's not really it's too far. It's because the number of people on the tours and how long it would take the extra time onto to the tour. You're adding at least half hour. I would suggest to go down to go down to Bucks Row and come back because crowds move. A group moves. You know better than I do. A group moves at a slow pace, Richard. So it's just not practical to actually go there.
And of course, Berners Street's not that far from Bucks Row as well. It's just a short walk across Whitechapel Road and then past the London Hospital. You're on Commercial Road, turn right.
But they're the two which, as you know better than anyone else, don't get covered in standard tours.
Martin Fido in the 1980s used to do a complete tour that did all the murder sites. It used to take him about 3.5, 4 hours to get round the route. And Martin, he used to go to real clip. I mean, he took no prisoners, Martin. He always said, if you can't keep up, you're lost. And off he did. And he managed to get a pub stop in as well.
If I'm actually in London, I do a tour which goes from Doveton Street up to Corbett's Place. It takes in every single site that's connected to the Polly Nichols murder, and that takes anything between 2.5 hours and 3 hours.
And we should say that Doveton Street's where Charles Lechmere lived. Corbett's Court is where he and Robert Paul separated.
Yeah. So I do that when I'm in London, but it's a long walk.
Yeah. It's okay. Well, I think that's that question answered. So let's. I'll do a little map on the screen as well, just to show people where the various murder sites were.